Jake is going to tell you something in 60 seconds. Something he discovered on day one of owning his new company. Something so bad that he sat in his car in the parking lot, called his wife, and told her he thought he had made the worst mistake of his life. But first, let me tell you what Jake paid $1.1 million for. He paid $1.1 million for a logistics company with 11 trucks, a dispatcher named Ron, and a client list that generated $2.3 million in annual revenue. On paper, it looked like a deal. In reality, it was a disaster wrapped in a contract. On day one, Jake discovered that 4 of the 11 trucks did not run. 4 of his 11 trucks were sitting in the yard, generating 0 revenue, costing him insurance and storage, and looking operational on the financial documents the seller had shown him. On day one, Jake also discovered that the company had 2 active federal violations from the Department of Transportation. Violations that the seller had never disclosed. Violations that could result in the company's operating license being suspended. On day one, Jake met Ron, the dispatcher, who greeted him not with a handshake, not with a tour, but with a single sentence. You have 11 days before payroll runs out. Jake sat in his car, called his wife, and said, "I think I made the worst mistake of my life." This is the part of business ownership that nobody shows you on social media. Not to celebrate the acquisition post, not the new chapter LinkedIn announcement. This is the parking lot at 7 in the evening, 11 days on the clock, $1.1 million committed, and the quiet, terrifying question, what do I do now? Jake had 2 options: walk away and lose everything he had invested, or fix it. He chose to fix it. Here's exactly what he did in 11 days. Day 1 and 2, Jake called every client on the list. Personally, not his dispatcher, not an email. He called every single client himself, introduced himself as a new owner, and asked one question: what do we need to do to keep your business? 2 clients told him the previous owner had been late on deliveries for 3 months. Jake promised them priority service going forward, and they stayed. Day 3 and 4, Jake called a truck mechanic, not the company the previous owner had been using, a different one. He asked for honest assessments of all 11 trucks. The mechanic told him 2 of the 4 broke trucks could be repaired for under $3,000 each. Jake authorized the repairs immediately and had 2 additional revenue-generating trucks within 48 hours. Day 5 and 6, Jake called a DOT compliance consultant, paid $1,500 for an emergency consultation. The consultant told him both violations were fixable. One required updated driver documentation. One required a vehicle inspection. Neither required shutting down. Jake spent 2 days doing nothing but fixing compliance paperwork, and the federal violation threat disappeared. Day 7, Jake called the bank that held the company's line of credit, explained he was the new owner, explained the situation honestly, and asked for a 30-day extension on the next payment. The bank said yes. Jake had bought himself time. Day 8, 9, and 10, Jake sat down with Ron, the dispatcher, and had the honest conversation about what the business actually needed to survive. Ron had been with the company for 7 years. Ron knew every client, every route, every driver's strength and weakness. Jake had been treating Ron as a problem. Ron was actually the solution. Together, they restructured the dispatch schedule to maximize revenue from the 7 working trucks, and identified 3 new clients within driving distance who had previously been turned away due to capacity issues. Day 11, payroll cleared by $312. $312 between making payroll and not making payroll on the last possible day. Here's what happened over the next 6 months. All 11 trucks were operational by month 2. The federal violations were fully resolved by month 3. Jake had signed 4 new clients by month 4, and by month 6, the company that had 11 days of payroll when Jake bought it was generating $2.7 million in annual revenue, more than it had ever generated in its history. And now I can answer the question I asked you at the beginning. What did Jake discover on day 1 that almost made him walk away? It was not the broken trucks. It was not the federal violations. It was not the 11 days of payroll. It was a folder in Ron's desk drawer. A folder with the names of 6 clients who had left the company in the previous 18 months, and the reason they left. Every single one of them had left because the previous owner had promised them things he never delivered, and Jake realized that he had not bought a broken logistics company. He had bought a company with a broken reputation, and that was actually the most fixable problem of all, because reputation is rebuilt one delivery at a time, one phone call at a time, one promise kept at a time. Jake made every delivery on time for 6 months straight, called every client personally every month, And by month 6, 2 of the 6 clients who had left came back. Here's the bottom line. The most dangerous words in any business deal are, "It looks good on paper." Jake paid $1.1 million for something that looked good on paper, and discovered on day 1 that paper and reality are 2 completely different things. But here's what Jake also discovered, that the gap between paper and reality is where the opportunity lives, because everyone who looked at that company before Jake saw the broken trucks, the federal violations, the 11 days of payroll, and walked away. Jake looked at the same things and saw a $2.7 million business waiting to be rebuilt. You have been decoded. If this video showed you something about business and money that most people never get to see, subscribe to Money Decoder 3004 every single week. We decode the financial stories that show you how money and business actually work. Simply, honestly, and clearly. Drop a comment below. Would you have walked away on day 1? Or would you have stayed? Tell me below. I read every single comment, and I will see you in the next decode.